Hello, I'm Mike and this is Will. We're the Tabletop Donkeys.
Hello.
And we're bringing you issue 66 of Warhammer 40,000 Combat Patrol magazine today. This issue came with 5 Aberrants for our Genestealer Cults Combat Patrol, so we can build and paint them up and test them out in today's game. Looking through the issue first, we have the build guide for the Aberrants. So they're fairly easy to build because they're quite chunky and there aren't a huge amount of parts to them compared to some of the other Genestealer Cult models. The first model built is the Hypermorph with the heavy improvised weapon, which is the road sign with the big lump of concrete. You do have a couple of options for his head. And then for the other 4, you have the options between a two-handed power weapon or a one-handed power weapon, and you can kind of mix and match or do whatever you want because they both act the same way in-game. And some of them will have chains dangling on them, and again, you do get options for heads. It's quite easy to make them all look unique. But there you can see one set all with the two-handed mauls and the other ones with the smaller picks. And into the painting guide, starting with a base coat of Wraithbone, base coating their trousers with Administratum Grey, and Macragge Blue for all of the more alien parts, their arms and some of their strange growths on some of them, Fiston Red for any robes or loincloths, and any straps on their weapons, and Avalon Sunset for the road sign. And then Abaddon Black for any weapon handles and armor plates and any claws and the trim on the road sign. Leadbelcher for any chains on their weapons and the pole the road sign is attached to. Mechanicus Grey for the concrete on the road sign. Retributor Armor for any of the gold trinkets. Screamer Pink for any tongues, or if you chose the tentacly face, paint them as well. And then washing over all the blue areas and red areas and silver areas with Null and All and the grey concrete as well. Aggregate Earthshade for any skulls or bones. Carabag Crimson for their flesh. Colia Greenshade for their trousers. Reichland Fleshshade for any gold and yellow areas. And then relayering and highlighting, Mephiston Red to brighten up the red cloth, and then Wild Rider Red for the highlights, Countgar Blue to highlight the blue areas, Stormhost Silver for any silver and gold areas, Mechanicus Standard Grey for any black areas, and Corax White for any of the light grey areas. And then to do some more details like their eyes and mouths, you start with Catachan Flesh, so you will need to take your time with this, Wraithbone for any teeth, Avalon Sunset for their eyes, and then you can go over them with Reichland Fleshshade. If you want to go for extreme detail, you can do a tiny dot of Abaddon Black in the centre of the eye and pick out their teeth with Pallid Witch Flesh, and some other highlights. Highlight their skin with Pallid Witch Flesh, Pink Horror over their tongues, and Administratum Grey over the concrete. And you can see them up to this point, where again they're mostly completed at this point. There's only a few more paints to come with the collection. Then we can have some more background on the Genestealer cults themselves. Over many generations, a cult will infiltrate the echelons of society, starting with the lowest rung, often criminal gangs or mining guilds or any other groups of labourers. Well, and that usually gives them access to dangerous substances or explosives or mining equipment that they can use. But once they have infiltrated those, they will start infiltrating the higher rungs of society, such as the Astra Militarum. And often the censorship of the Imperium works in their favour because the inhabitants of the planet have no idea that Genestealer cults exist or what they look like or anything, so they are prone to being infiltrated. And while they can be successful with just mining equipment, if a cult is able to infiltrate the Astra Militarum operations on a planet, that will give them access to the equipment available to the Militarum, as well as any vehicles, such as the Lehman Russ. And often, the more human-looking 4th generation hybrids will actually be conscripted into the Astra Militarum, which makes their infiltration efforts much easier. And then some background on artillery in the 41st millennium. Much like in real life, artillery is a vital asset for most armies, and most factions will have some kind of artillery unit capable of firing at long range, often at targets it can't see itself, but is ideal for suppressing enemy advances or supporting an advance or just simply destroying structures. So you have heavy bombardment vehicles such as the Death Guard Plague Burst Crawler pictured there. Some artillery might be a bit more wacky, like this Orc tractor cannon, which essentially is like a tractor beam, pulling targets apart, and sometimes armies might favour the use of lighter artillery pieces that are easier to move around the battlefield, but are nonetheless dangerous. And we have the collection article for the Aberrants. So they are hybrids of Genestealer and human DNA, but sometimes it goes a little bit wrong and they end up being hulking masses of flesh, seen by the fanatical Genestealer cult members as the pinnacle of strength and durability amongst their kind. And again, you can give them a name and a personality for their unit and recall when you builded, painted and played with them. And then we have their datasheet, which I'll leave for Will to go over as he takes us into today's game.
So looking first of all at the datasheet for our new Aberrants, they have a 6-inch move, they are toughness 6 with a 5+ armor save, 3 wounds each, leadership of 7+, and an OC of 1. They only have melee weapons. It does mention in the build guide that the unit leader, which is called the Hypermorph, has a heavy improvised weapon and its Hypermorph tail, whereas all the other ones have heavy power weapons. So the heavy improvised weapon on the Hypermorph has 5 attacks, they hit on 3s, they're strength 6, AP 0 and 2 damage each, and its Hypermorph tail has the extra attacks rule, so it can attack with this as well. It's only 1 attack that hits on a 3, strength 5, AP 0, 1 damage, while the heavy power weapons are 3 attacks each, hitting on 3s, strength 8, AP -2, and 3 damage. They are infantry models, and they have no special abilities at all. They don't have Genestealer Cults faction ability, and they don't have Deep Strike either, so they have to start on the board and they can't come back. And then we have their introductory scenario called Pick Them Clean. So the Genestealer Cults have risen up on the day of Ascension and swiftly overwhelmed the local Imperial forces, and they've even managed to capture some Space Marines off guard as they land to come and assist the defenders, as Genestealer Cult forces swarm over their landing zone. Then starting with the Genestealer Cults player, the players take it in turns to place some terrain cards until there are 4 in total. Cannot go within 3 inches of the centre of the battlefield, and there are no faction abilities or stratagems in this game as usual. The Space Marine player gets the Captain in Terminator armour and the Librarian in Terminator armour, which are placed within 3 inches of the centre point of the battlefield, and the Genestealer Cults player places the 5 Aberrants in one deployment zone, and then the 10 Neophyte Hybrids with the Megas attached in the other deployment zone, because they have 2, as are shown over the page. Here they are in opposite corners of the board, taking up an 8 each, and the Space Marine deployment zone, of course, in the centre of the battlefield. There's only 1 battle mat. The game lasts for 4 battle rounds. A player can win by wiping out all the models on the opposing side, or otherwise, at the end of the 4th battle round, whoever has the highest number of victory points wins. And the ways to gain victory points are shown on the next page. There's a reminder of the Magus' Spiritual Leader rule, which gives the unit she is attached to 5+ Feel No Pain against psychic attacks, which will be the Librarian's Smite ability and his 4th weapon in melee. So that actually will be useful here. And then to gain victory points, there are actually just 2 secondary objectives from the main combat patrols. Space Marines have the default secondary Wrath of the Emperor, which means that you gain 2 victory points at the end of any phase in which the captain destroys any models. While the Genestealer Cult player has Will of the Patriarch, which means you score 15 victory points if the Magus is within 3 inches of the centre of the battlefield at the end of the game. And as usual, we have the victory outcomes on the back page. So we'll get the battlefield set up and the models deployed, and we'll get straight into it. So here is our board set up. We've got 4 terrain pieces, 2 barricades and 2 line of sight blocking pieces. The 2 Space Marine characters in the middle. Over on the left side we have our new Aberrants. So the one in the centre at the front with the road sign is the Hypermorph. The rest all have the heavy power weapons. And then we've got the Neophytes on the other flank with the Magus. It does not specify who goes first, so we'll be rolling off. And the Space Marines have 1 with a 3. So it'll be Space Marines turn 1. Well, the Aberrants are far more dangerous to the Space Marine characters than the Neophytes are, so both of the characters are going to come over towards them, see if we can get rid of them. I'll shoot at them with the Librarian first, and we're going to use the Focused Witchfire Smite, because the higher strength will be needed to damage them. He has D6 shots, 5, only hitting on 3s, obviously got no Oath of Moment or anything. Oh, and it gets 4 hits though. We're wounding on 4s, so strength 6, only 1 wound, it'd be a -2, but they are in cover.
So I'll take it on the Hypermorph because I value his weapon the least. With cover it'll be down to -1, so it'll be a 6+ save. No, not quite.
D3 damage. Just 1. Then we've got his Storm Bolter, 4 shots on 3s, 2 hits, winning on 5s. 1 wound, no AP.
4+ with cover. Failed.
And then I have to roll for Hazardous, so on a 1 the Librarian takes damage, no, he's fine. And the Captain's going to shoot his Storm Bolter at them as well. I could get points by shooting at the Neophytes, but I think I want all of my attention to go into the Aberrants for the moment. So 4 shots on 2s. They all hit, winning on 5s as well. 2 wounds.
2 4+s again. Oh, failed 1, so that will kill the Hypermorph and be 2 victory points for the Space Marines.
Yeah, kill a model anyway. So 4 models left. We're going to charge with both of my characters. We'll start with the Captain, because he probably needs to get out of the way. He rolls a 6, that should be enough to get him out of the way of the Librarian, so I'll just roll him now as well. He rolls a 3, which is probably actually a failure. No, 3 inches is not enough to get the Librarian in, so the Captain will have to go it alone, but he will get to fight first. 6 attacks on 2s. Oh, 3 misses. And 5s to wound, because even with the power weapon, his strength is only 5. Gets 1 wound at -2.
So that'll just go straight through.
So just do 2 wounds to an Aberrant. The Aberrants have piled in and they get to strike back.
12 attacks with heavy power weapons, hitting on 3s. 9 hits, wounding on 3s. It's 5 wounds at -2.
Well, it'll go straight to his invulnerable save, but these do 3 damage each, and he only has 6 wounds, so if I fail 2 of these, he just dies. I didn't, I only failed 1, so the Captain's alive on 3 wounds. So that's the state of that at the end of Space Marines turn 1. On to Genestealer Cults turn 1.
So Aberrants are going to stay in combat. Going to hope that the captain can't kill all of them. While the neophytes have moved up and they're all in rapid fire range. It does make the seismic cannon less accurate, but it is now in range to have more shots. So I'll roll for the leader's pistol, the heavy sub and all the hybrid firearms first, because these are all going to be running on 5s. Shooting at the librarian, 19 shots on 4s. 7 hits, wounding on 5s. We got a wound.
2+ save. Made it.
Magus is a pistol that hits on a 3. He hits. 4 wounds.
2+. Just about.
Oof. 6 seismic cannon shots on 5s. Getting 1. Wounds on a 3. It does at -1.
3+. Yes. Okay.
And the Weber, we didn't catch the roll, but he got 5 shots. Wounding on 6s, which are devastating.
No, that one's cocked, but...
2 devastating wounds.
2 devastating wounds. So no save. 2 wounds on the librarian, he's down to 3. So both characters down to 3 wounds. On to the fighting though, where the captain gets to hit first, because it's the Genestealer Cult turn. 6 attacks on 2s. Oh, he did a little bit better this time. Winning on 5s still. 1 again.
So that will kill the wounded one.
Does get another 2 VP though.
And then 9 attacks coming back on 3s. Ugh, 2 hits on 3s. 1 wound.
4+ to live though. No, he failed and dies. So just the librarian left on 3 wounds as we head into Space Marines turn 2. Well, the only thing for it really is to go and try and kill the Aberrants, because they'll smash him up in melee if I don't. So we're going to move like this, do focused smite, and then charge them. D6 shots, 4 on 3s, 3 hits wounding on 4s, 2 this time at -2, and they don't have cover from this angle, so it's going to go straight through. D3 damage each. First one does 1, second one does 2, so that just kills 1. And Stormbolter on 3s, 2 hits, 5s to wound 1.
5+ armour. Nope, take a wound.
And then his hazardous roll, he's fine. And he doesn't need to roll for his charge, so just go straight into the front one. And he has 4 attacks on 3s. They all hit, wounding on 4s because he's strength 6 with his force weapon. Oh, they all wound as well, they're -1 AP.
6s. Oh, save 2.
One's on 2 wounds, so they do D3 damage. So the first one does 1, and then the second one will do a number, and it will kill that one. So there's still 1 left.
And he gets 3 hits back on 3s, and misses.
So 1 Aberrant left, and we'll be on to Genestealer Cults turn 2.
Lone Aberrant has to make a battle shock test at leadership 7, so he's okay. So in my movement phase, the neophytes are going to move towards the middle of the board, so at least the Magus is there. The remaining Aberrant is going to fall back to behind the cargo containers in case the librarian moves, goes towards the neophytes, he'll get cover, and the neophytes are going to shoot the librarian. 19 shots from small arms on 4s, 9 hits wounding on 5s, 3.
3 2+ saves. Failed 1, it's down to 2.
Auto pistol from the Magus, hits, doesn't wound. The seismic cannon, 6 shots on 5s. Getting 2, wounding on 3s, getting 1 at -1.
3+. Passed.
And the Weber, 1 shot, which doesn't wound. And that'll be it for my turn.
On to Space Marines turn 3. The librarian needs to make a battle shock test, technically. He passes, he's fine. And then he's going to move towards the centre of the board, because if the Magus is still there at the end of turn 4, Genestealer Cults will get 15 victory points. So if they don't kill the librarian before then, they're still going to win. It might mean being charged from behind by the Aberrant, but we're just going to have to trust his invulnerable save. So we'll do normal smite on the neophytes, not focused, and a Stormbolter. D6 shots from smite, 6. Hitting on 3s. No, only 2. Wounding on 3s, 1, -1 AP.
6+ armour. Nope.
D3 damage, 1.
5+ feel no pain. No.
Stormbolter gets 3 hits. And 3 wounds.
5+ armour. Save none of them.
It's 4 dead so far. Then a charge is in. He'll move to there to try and get as far away from the Aberrants as possible. 4 attacks on 3s. They all hit. And they wound on 2s because they're strength 6 against toughness 3. 4 wounds at -1.
6+ armour saves. You.
D3 damage apiece, so obviously each one will kill a neophyte with 1 wound, but the number I roll will affect how many feel no pains it has to pass to live. So I'll do these one at a time and then roll the feel no pains individually. So the first one does 2.
Oh, he dies. Just.
Yeah, pass 1, but obviously the second one kills him. Second, 1 damage.
Nope, he's dead as well.
Third one, 1 damage.
Nope.
Fourth one, 3 damage.
super dead. Now I'll leave the leader, the Weber, and the Magus obviously still alive. And they get to hit back. 1 attack from the guy with the Weber, misses. 1 attack from the leader, misses. 3 attacks from the Magus on 3s. They all hit. Wounding on 4s. 2 wounds at -1.
3s to save. Oh, made them. So that's the state of things at the end of Space Marine turn 3, on to Genestealer Cults turn 3.
Battleshock test needed for both my units. The Magus, leading her squad, has a 6+. She's fine. The Aberrant is fine as well on a 7. So the remaining neophytes are going to fall back from the Librarian while the Aberrant has come over the barricade because it's quicker than going around. And I have no shooting, so the Aberrant's going to try and charge. And he's in with a 7.
They're getting in like that, and then there's obviously only 1 model fighting in each side.
3 attacks from the Aberrant on 3s. He misses.
Oh, Librarian hitting back on 3s. He hits 3 times, wounding on 4s. Nope, he fails to wound. On to Space Marines turn 4. I think this means the Genestealer Cults do win because all the Librarian can do is kill the Aberrant and then can't get rid of the Magus, and so they're going to get the points at the end, but we'll play out the final turn anyway. So technically a Battleshock test needed. He's fine. No shooting, and then the Aberrant gets to hit him first.
And he hit this time on 3s. There you go, 3 hits. And wounding on 3s. 1 wound.
4+ save, 50-50. No, he passed. Still there. And then 4 attacks back on 3s. 2 hits. 4s to wound. 1, -1.
6+ armor. New.
D3 damage. Oh, 3. Does kill it. Well, we can consolidate into the squad. I can't attack them, and they can attack me. But this way, they have to take a Battleshock test, and if they fail that and then fall back, there's an outside chance that they just all die falling back. Or stay in melee and be hit next turn. It's basically the only chance for the Librarian to win.
So, guy with the Weber hits on a 4. No. Leader with his power weapon. No. Magus gets 2 hits, wounding on 4s. 1 wound at -1.
3+ save. Just...
Battleshock test for the neophytes, looking for a 6. They fail. We will fall back just so that we don't get attacked in melee. 3 dice because there's 3 models, and 1s and 2s a model dies. Okay, they're all okay. Phew.
Yeah, the alternative obviously would be to stay in melee and hope the Librarian doesn't kill all of them, which is also fairly unlikely. But this way, the Magus is within 3 inches of the centre of the battlefield at the end of battle round 4, therefore gaining 15 victory points for the Genestealer Cults, which should be a win on secondary objectives. But we'll set the game up again and see what happens. So we set it all up again, slight variation in the deployment, but the Genestealer Cult units are in the same places, and we're going to let the Genestealer Cults go first for this one, see if that makes a difference. So we've been to Genestealer Cults turn 1.
So, the Aberrants are coming over and around the barricade to get towards the captain, while the neophytes are going to stay where they are for now, because they're all in range of the Librarian for rapid fire. 19 shots from hybrid firearms, the heavy stubber and the leader's pistol on 4s. 13 hits, wounding on 5s. 6 wounds on the Librarian.
6 2+ saves. Made them all.
Auto pistol from the Magus hit. Didn't wound. The seismic cannon is on 4s because it didn't move. 4 hits. Wounding on 3s. 3 wounds at -1.
3s. Failed 1.
D3 damage. 2.
Down to 3.
And the Weber. 5 shots on 6s. Nothing. And the Aberrants are going to charge the captain. And they're definitely in with an 8. So they can all get in around the captain while avoiding the Librarian. The Hypermorph is still alive, so he gets to do something in this game. So he has 5 attacks on 3s with the road sign. 4. Strength 6, so wounding on 3s. 1 wound.
And no AP, so a 2+. Yep.
And his tail missed. Power weapons, 12 attacks on 3s. 7 hits, wounding on 3s. Ooh, 6 wounds, -2.
So 4 pluses, needs to pass a lot of these. Nah, failed 3, they're 3 damage apiece, so the captain's just dead.
We won't consolidate into the Librarian because then we'll just get to hit us for free.
But it's only the Librarian left as we come into Space Marines turn 1. Well, the Librarian needs to kill everything one way or another, so we're going to try and deal with the Aberrants first, using Focused Witchfire Smite. D6 shots, 2. On 3s, 1 hit, 4 to wound, it did, -2, so no save. D3 damage, 2. Stormbolter, 3 hits, and no wounds. A hazardous test, just about passed, and a charge roll, which doesn't need to roll. Well, I'll go straight into the middle of them like that, I suppose. Doesn't actually make any difference. And then he has 4 attacks on 3s. Well, they all hit. Going on 4s. 2 wounds, -1.
6+ armor. Nope.
The Hypermorph will just die because the first one will do at least 1 damage, and the second one does 2 damage.
12 attacks back on the Librarian. on 3s. 8 hits wounded on 3s. 6 wounds again at -2.
He needs to pass all of these because he's only got 3 wounds left. No, Librarian goes down as well. Another win for the Genestealer Cults. So I think we'll leave it at that, because I think we've got a good idea of what the Aberrants can do, certainly, and how most of the outcomes for this game will go. And we'll recap that for you now. So that was a couple of the playthroughs of the game from issue 66 of Warhammer 40,000 Combat Patrol magazine. How did you think those went?
I definitely think you should probably just let the Space Marines go first, because obviously the Aberrants steam in and kill the captain, and the Librarian has to kill everything. The first game, well, there's some bad rolling on both sides, but if the Librarian had made his charge in the first turn, he probably would have been able to finish off all the Aberrants, and then the 2 Terminator characters can mow through all the neophytes fairly easily. It's just going to come down to whether the Aberrants take out the 2 characters or vice versa.
Yeah, the Librarian failing his charge in the first game meant that the captain had to do it himself, though he did actually do pretty poorly in any event.
Yeah, he shouldn't miss 3 attacks in one turn.
He was only saved by rolling some decent invulnerable saves. Yeah, in the first game, the Librarian did do pretty well to actually kill off almost everything else. He didn't actually die after making quite a few saves and doing a lot of damage to the neophytes with shooting, but there were just too many of them. It's a little bit weird having the secondary objectives, because the captain's very unlikely to rack up enough victory points for it to matter. That is to say, either one side's going to be wiped out and win automatically, or the Genestealer Cults are not going to be wiped out and therefore will probably win because the Magus... You have to focus a lot of attention on the neophytes to get rid of them all and the Magus as well.
Yeah, I suppose probably the Space Marines are better off actually just going after the neophytes rather than the Aberrants.
Maybe that would be the tactic, actually. Send them both after the neophytes, because you probably deal with them in pretty short order with all that shooting and then charging. And because the Aberrants are quite slow, they're going to be on the other side of the board. You can shoot them a fair bit and then charge with both characters. But more likely it's probably just going to come down to what we saw in the second game, where both the Space Marines get killed.
Yeah, although I was surprised at how resilient the Aberrants proved to be. That toughness 6 does help.
At least against what I had, because the highest strength things I had were strength 6. So even the captain in melee is wounding them on 5s. So actually, even if he does get all 6 hits, he's still only likely to get 2 wounds, which will cut down 1 Aberrant. But when it's the Hypermorph who has the worst weapon, then the other ones with the power weapons that can actually hurt him are the ones that
there's a chance that one of them on their own could kill him.
Yeah, the 3 damage means you only have to fail 2 saves for it to go through.
Yeah, and I think a lot of Genestealer Cult units are relatively fragile, and the Aberrants have a poor armor save, so if you make them roll enough dice, they will take damage. Normally, Marines would have oath the moment as well, and the Aberrants are basically a priority target. They won't stand up against the Terminators, obviously, and if the Aberrants charge, they can probably take down a few Terminators. But it's the usual Genestealer Cult thing of being very glass cannon, high damage output but low durability.
And the fact that, unlike the rest of the Genestealer Cults, they don't have Deep Strike and they don't have Cold Ambush. Cold Ambush we haven't actually seen in practice yet, but it just lets them come back if they're destroyed. And without Deep Strike, that means they have to start on the board, so because they're not super fast, they're going to have to hide behind terrain against anyone with any kind of shooting. Obviously, there are other things that can start on the board. You don't have to Deep Strike your entire army as the Genestealer Cults, but the Aberrants are obviously going to be a priority shooting target.
Yeah, they're going to be a bit like the Chthonian Berserks, I think, where on certain board layouts, if you haven't got enough cover, they're not going to have a fun time.
We didn't see it in this game, but they are really the thing that the Genestealer Cults have to take down big targets like the Death Dread or the Hellbrute or something, or the Psychophage. They won't do all that well against any of those things in melee, though, because they're still winning them all on 5s. They do enough damage to take them out if they roll well. But that's just the thing with the Genestealer Cults, as you say, their stuff is quite fragile, but does hit quite hard when necessary. You don't rely on just one unit to deal with something in your opponent's army. You kind of have to combine multiple things.
Oh, yes, and in the Falls, I think they're called Aberrant weapons, which I think are basically just a heavy power weapon. The Hypermorph isn't stuck with this tail attack and the improvised weapon, which is a holdover from the Index, which is when this Combat Patrol was made. I mean, against Astra Militarum, I suppose, or maybe the Leagues of Votan, where having extra attacks might help and they don't have particularly good armour. And the Hypermorph tail attack is just for flavour, basically, I think.
Yeah, so most of the time he's probably going to be killed off first.
And obviously this is a decent saving on the models for Aberrants. I think they come in boxes of 5, and obviously £10 is way better than whatever price they are now. And they're decent enough models. I kind of think they should be a bit bigger. They have 3 wounds, and they're not really that much bigger than the Gen 3 hybrids from the Neophytes. They're less Genestealer and more human, and it's all gone a bit wrong. So they're just more burly and probably not that smart. And there's enough that if you had 2 sets of 5, I think you could make a unit of 10 where they're all unique as well.
Well, they do all have 2 weapon options.
Yeah.
And the Hypermorph you can build a normal one out of as well. So yes, if you're building a Genestealer Cult army, then getting 2 copies of this issue is a great way to get a full unit of 10 Aberrants.
In the full rules, the unit leader doesn't have anything special, so it doesn't really matter if you have 2 of them.
But anyway, I think that's it for this video. So let us know what you thought in the comments below. If you play Genestealer Cults and use Aberrants, let us know how you get the best out of them. If you did like the video, then feel free to leave a like and subscribe. We've been the Tabletop Donkeys, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye for now.